Good morning, CrossFit Linchpin. What is today? February 7th, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that it is Friday. I'm almost positive that it's Friday. So, I put out some feelers about an hour ago. I should probably do this more frequently, right? I put out a little thing on the Instagram story that said, hey, we'll be going live. Anybody have topics they would like to have discussed, any of that good stuff? And several things rolled in, and there was a general consensus, and that was revolving military stuff. People seem to be fascinated by the military stuff. Specifically, the last time we did one of these, however long ago it was, 4 or 5 days ago, we had some good chats. We talked about scaling and some other stuff, but then the conversation took a rabbit hole down to some old stories from SEAL training and BUDS, and myself and my classmates just getting the stuffing beat out of us, and people seem to really enjoy stories about me getting the stuffing beat out of me. So maybe it's because I make everybody else suffer that they like to hear stories about me suffering. Greetings from East Tennessee. What's up, East Tennessee? So I will work some more of those in today. Stories about me getting my teeth kicked in BUDS and SEAL school. And it actually works out really well because one of the questions that rolled in was from a gentleman whose name is Will B. And his question was that he is submitting a package to go to SF selection, so Special Forces selection for the Army. And he feels because he's doing that he feels like he should be in the gym more. Oh, Nick, you're heading to SEER school soon? I could tell you some funny SEER school stories. Maybe we'll save that for another time. Anyway, he's going to SF selection, feels that he needs more training, more time in the gym, and was curious as to what my thoughts are on that. So, I certainly have some opinions on that. I have to say that initially, I don't know Will B, who is submitting a package to SF selection. So I don't know what his current level of fitness is at this moment. But let's make a broad brush generalization and say that he is an average CrossFitter. Okay? Now, of course, we would have to define what that means. But I think most of us get a general sense in there. An average CrossFitter. You're not going to a sanctioned event. You're not in the first page of the Open. You're not in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th page in the Open. You're just an average CrossFitter. You know, your Fran time is, I don't know, what shall we say? Somewhere below 5 minutes. Could be 4:59. It's just somewhere below 5 minutes. This guy's going to selection, he's a gentleman. So his deadlift is, whatever. Somewhere in the 315-pound range or higher. Just your normal stuff. Helen time is, let's say you did every 400-meter run in 6 minutes, and then the other stuff took you a minute or two. So, I don't know. His Helen time is in the 10-minute time frame, the 11-minute time frame, somewhere around there. Your average CrossFitter. He does Cindy. He's somewhere above 16 rounds on Cindy. So I think this is somewhat fair, okay? Here's the short answer. No, you do not need to spend more time in the gym to go to SF selection. One thing that you Army boys do that I don't have any interest in doing whatsoever is how much time you spend with a miserable rucksack on your back. So you may want to go ahead and do that. Okay, Will, here we go. I would say yes, I'm an average CrossFitter, strong runner, can get stronger all the way around. Okay, great. Strong runner. So there's Will chiming in right there who had the question. That was going to be one of the things that I said is, okay, how to do this and not hurt feelings. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe I shouldn't be concerned about hurting feelings. So here we go. The unabashed, sometimes inconvenient truth, because this can chap some CrossFitter behinds every now and then. There's a difference between reality and CrossFit reality. Okay, and the two are not the same. I think sometimes in the CrossFit world, people think I'm going to spend more time in the gym. I'm doing my workout of the day. I've got my extra Olympic lifting on the side. I've got a linear strength progression that I'm layering on that. I can squat snatch a certain weight. Blah, blah, blah. And increasing those things make me a badass. Okay? That there is this thought that your numbers in the gym, if they're better, or maybe you're a sanctional level, a sanctioned level athlete, that you're a badass. I guess it all depends on how you define being a badass. As far as I'm concerned, none of those things make you a badass. Your deadlift doesn't, your squat snatch doesn't, blah blah blah, fill in whatever metric you want. None of those things make you a badass. And the reason that I say that is, and this does relate, Will, to your question, is if I rewind the clock, and things are just the same these days, back when I went through SEAL school, we had plenty of incredibly physical studs, capable athletes. D1 athletes quit in buds. These amazing physical accomplishments and accolades had absolutely no correlation whatsoever to being a badass, to when things really start to suck and be miserable, and everyone's on their last nerve, and everyone's at each other's throats, and the training and the instructors and the environments and the loading on your back has just weighed you down, and you're cold and you're wet and you're tired, and everything in your body is chafed from sand, and it's the last place that you want to be. Nobody gives a rat's ass about your squat snatch. It is completely and utterly irrelevant. Irrelevant. Nobody cares. Those times, those environments, those are the things that separate. You can be an amazing athlete and not a badass. Sorry, it's just kind of how it is. So if we're talking about something like SF selection, don't get me wrong. Now here's the thing, don't get me wrong. You would much rather enter that style of training in better shape compared to worse shape. I hope that goes without saying, and that nobody read into, well, Pat says you don't even really want to be in good shape to go to training. That's not what I'm saying. You would obviously want to walk in fitter, faster, stronger, more conditioned. It's going to make your life, to some degree, better. But if you think all they need to do is, if that was the case, then here's what they would do. They would walk in on day one, and they would go, all right, here we go. So instead of having, 6 or 8 months of miserable training, everybody's going to run a 5K. We're going to mark down your time. Everybody's going to pull a deadlift, do a squat snatch, do a clean and jerk, do a max set of pull-ups. We're going to see who the top athletes are, and then we're just going to keep those guys and figure that they're good enough to be Green Berets or Navy SEALs, and everybody else can go home. That's it. That's all we need to do. Best athlete wins. 100% incorrect, wrong, false. I can't make that any more clear. So, getting back to your question, Will, do you need to spend more time in the gym? If you're in good shape and a strong runner, like you said, probably not. Now, could you do yourself some justice by getting, between now and when selection starts, in even better shape? Sure, and you absolutely should. And while that's important, I don't want to say more important, but equally important is showing up healthy. You want to show up healthy. So some people will just try to overtrain and try to get themselves in such good shape that they show up to training or selection overtrained, tired, achy joints, achy knees, achy backs, a borderline stress fracture, you have now done yourself an incredible disservice, because the training in and of itself is going to beat you up. It's going to wear your body down. So if you show up on the brink of being overtrained, on the brink of an overuse injury, you are just the slow gazelle in the pack that will be overtaken by the lions, and everybody will watch you be killed one day. So we don't want that to happen. So continue to train, continue to do what you need to do, but realize that, much like when I went through training as well, I watched plenty again, D1 athletes that in the first week of training, nobody could catch them on a run. They were so fast. Nobody could catch them in the water. They were so fast. They're built like a Greek god with 10-pack abdominals and just pectoral muscles the size of dinner plates. And they're not there on graduation day. They're gone. And then there's some guy that everybody overlooked on week 1, very average build, wouldn't stand out in a crowd. Just a flat stomach, can't see any abdominal muscles though. And the dude is so mentally tough between the ears that you would have to kill him to get him to stop moving forward. And that guy's there on graduation day. Probably was never in the top 3 in a run, etc., etc. Now, don't get me wrong. We had some people that also straddled the lines that were tremendous athletes and were also mentally tough between the ears. But my point is, it's just not the physical prowess of the individual that equates to success in such an environment like that. Let me make sure I don't get myself too far off. So, yes, be a better runner, better swimmer, stronger, body weight, all those things, but just realize it's not indicative of success. And I would say what you need to do also, here's a big part of it, right? There's something inside of me that just has an issue with the term, like, find your why, because I just feel like it's something that you would see on an episode of Oprah, and it's just very cliche, and everyone's saying it because it's very feel good, and everyone feels like, well, that's what I should be saying, and so I'm just going to say it and find your why, blah, blah, blah. So I don't like that phrase. It kind of bothers me. But in that same breath, let me say, you do have to, find your why or find your purpose or whatever is motivating you. Because if you show up to training or selection in really good shape, but between the ears, you are not fully committed to that program and to making it through selection for reasons that are uniquely personal and important to you, I don't think you'll be there on graduation day. So whatever it is, that thing that drives you, that fires you up, you need to be very much in touch and in contact with that, because when times are tough and your body's aching and all you want to do is quit, it's not going to be your cardiorespiratory endurance or your muscular strength or stamina that pulls you through. While all those things are nice to have, it will be whatever the thoughts are that are going through your head. And if those thoughts are positive and reinforcing whatever the decision was for you to show up, then those will help drive you through. And if your, whatever you want to call it, your why, your drive, your motivation was not real, was not solid, then when it's tested sometime in training, it will crumble, and then you won't have a reason to be there anymore, and you'll, buds anyway, we ring out, quit. So you'll do whatever that happens to be in that situation. So you have to find your why, but then I also think, getting back to what makes somebody a badass and what doesn't make somebody a badass, and an extra deadlift session or a linear back squat progression doesn't make somebody a badass. You have to have some physical capacity for sure, spend your time in the gym, but then, in my humble opinion, instead of getting in that second sesh, take that time, that precious time that most of us don't have enough of, and do something which might make you more of a badass, in my opinion. So the badass not being defined by their squat or their deadlift, but being defined by how you react under stress. Are you dependable? Do you have integrity? honor, intelligence? What are your values? Are you humble? Do you make those around you better? Do you know yourself very well? Do you have some potential to lead others when times are tough? And those things are found in getting outside the gym, exposing yourself to challenging situations, to different situations, or some of them can be found through self-reflection, through different books that you read and expose yourself to that expand your mind and make you question why you are or aren't doing something and really hone in on your values, meditation, things of that nature. So I think that is time very well spent in addition to time in the gym there. I think I missed some questions. Sorry, let me go back. I got on a bit of a tangent. Let's see here. Okay. Will, prepping for Ranger School with more loading than I currently am at, with additional rucking and running outside of the gym time. I've got some buddies who are Rangers. Rangers are tough as nails. My hat's off to Rangers. Ranger School is, from what I know, utterly and completely miserable. And so again, my hat's off to you, and the loadings that you boys are exposed to on a consistent basis is crazy. The lack of sleep, the lack of food. Ranger School is no joke. So yes, I think there is great value into you getting some rucks in outside of the gym for sure, and most likely if you can get it in under uneven terrain as well. I would also say, obviously you're improving your fitness as much as you can, but legs and midline, my friend, legs and midline are going to carry that ruck. I mean, you need to have, and not just 1 rep max back squat. We've talked about this before on podcasts, right? There's a difference between, you can have a huge 1 rep max back squat and not have these bulletproof, bomb-proof legs that can just go and go and go. And workouts that cultivate something like that was like the other day when we programmed 7 minutes of dumbbell walking lunges. Things like that just give you bomb-proof, bulletproof legs that can go all day. Those will be legs that will be very beneficial to you in Ranger School. And then obviously your deadlifts, your squats, everything else that we do in CrossFit that strengthens your midline on both the front and the back, your L-sits, your knees to elbows, your toes to bar, your sit-ups, your hollow rocks, your V-ups, your GHDs, your hip and back extensions will be absolutely huge for strengthening that back as well. Strong midline, strong legs, and then just conditioning, as you well know. Conditioning. So that's that. Let's see. So stay healthy, check. Would you advise against extra runs and rucks? No, I wouldn't advise against extra runs and rucks, but I would also say you got to get in some rucks. It is what it is. But for the runs, I mean, I'm here and I'm as involved in CrossFit as I am because I believe the methodology works, and it's been working really well for me for a decade and a half. With runs, you'll have to stretch out some runs every now and then, right, just to get your body and your joints used to the pounding that they're going to take for running for 10 miles. That is what it is. But I wouldn't do that all the time. I would just do that as little as necessary to expose your body to that. I would still also do what we know works, which is I would do a ton of sprint work, even though you're going to Ranger School. 200s, 400s, 800s, 100s, sprint. It's not only going to increase your leg strength, but as we all know, doing those explosive sprints will give you capacity to run long, but the opposite is not true. Running long does not give you capacity to sprint. And you'll be able to get in a lot of bang for your buck sprinting with doing less overall volume than going out and always doing 10 miles. So hopefully your body, your back, your knees, your ankles will feel better. And hence you'll show up to Ranger School with a happier, healthier body that's ready to endure the suck that's coming. Let's see. Okay. CrossFit Naples. What are your 3 go-to benchmarks every gym should use every 3 months? Oof, you caught me off guard with that. It's a good question. I could probably come up with an answer in a second. But I'd have to do some thinking of that because I wouldn't want to just throw out 3 benchmarks all willy-nilly. But I can tell you most likely one of them would be Helen. Most likely, one of them would be Helen. Let's see. Will, okay. Stay healthy. Continue to get after it. Stay in touch with the motivation. Thanks for the feedback. Looking forward. Yeah. Good luck, brother. Good luck, man. It's that's no joke whatsoever. It will be an interesting experience. So, I think that's it. I think we're good for this potential deal. So, good luck to everybody out there. Have a wonderful day. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I think we're good. I know I didn't get to go into more stories of me getting just the stuffing beat out of me in buds, but don't worry. There's plenty of stories of me getting the stuffing beat out of me in buds because I was not a stellar athlete, so it was not a very pleasant, easy experience. And I would also say everything that you're doing, you've got to, you're continuing to work everything, right? You're going to work your engine, you're going to work your barbell work, you're going to work your body weight, but again, a potential difference that just will chap some CrossFitters behind, but it is what it is, in my humble opinion, regarding the real world. All of those things are important. All of them should be embraced and trying to be raised at the same time. But the conditioning is so important. So important. You better have strength, better have body weight movements, but man, you better have some conditioning showing up to some sort of selection course or whatnot, because in a lot of those military applications, and just in the real world, you can have a monster deadlift or a clean and jerk or whatever it happens to be, but a lot of that strength disappears or is not useful or functional in the real world when you're hyperventilating. So what you want to have is this wonderful, usable strength and capacity and muscular stamina that is still present and still there to help you and your buddies out when you are just breathing hard. That's the sort of conditioning we want to have that's going to get you through something like Ranger School, buds, etc., so on and so forth. So that's it. Well, and speaking of conditioning, the workout of the day today on Linchpin is death by calories on the assault bike. So that's that. Have a great day, and I will see all of you on the interwebs later on.